Welcome to another Fabian Live. Hi, I'm Fabian Holland and we are live. If anybody is already watching live, if you could drop a message in the chat and just say whether you can hear me or not, that would be great. All right, so today it's an interesting one. You know, I had a question from one of my my subscribers on YouTube, and he said, I would love to hear your creative process of writing songs, how much you apply music theory versus feel, what inspires you, where do you start, all of it. And thanks to Dean for that question. And yeah, so this kind of inspired this today's live stream. I wanted to touch on my songwriting anyway. So I thought this was a good opportunity, to do that. So as I say, if anybody's in the chat live, or if you're watching on the replay, let me know where you're watching from, where you're joining us from. I'd love to know. Hey, Ian, how's it going? Good to see you here from Lancashire. Great. All right. So this one is an interesting one because it's, everybody has a different way of writing, I find. So I'm going to grab my guitar and then I'll basically just get started. So what we're going to look at, I'm basically just we'll see how long this goes on for, because there's not really too much to go into with my songwriting. It's pretty simple, I find. But I'm hoping that it will be of interest to some people. So basically we're going to take one of my songs. It's a song on my latest album. It's called Flower Bed. And I chose this one because it has some interesting sort of various kind of parts to it. So I thought I'd basically go through this and show you exactly how I came to write this and where I got the inspiration, how I start, and kind of look at every kind of aspect of it. And obviously, I'm very interested to know how you all write as well, because it's very interesting. Because I don't really get to write songs with too many people. I do a lot on my own, so it's definitely interesting to me to find out how you all do it. And if you're a songwriter, if you write songs of any kind, just say me in the chat. Let me know just how many people. That's if you're watching on the replay as well. You can say that. So I used to write songs whenever I got inspired, and that kind of worked for a while. But I've stopped doing that now because I just basically wouldn't write songs for ages and ages, and then there would be really intense moments where I would write a load of songs in an intense session. Could be a couple of weeks, could be just a few days where I'd write loads of songs. Or even a whole month, of just writing loads and loads of songs, because I just happened to get lots of inspiration. And that kind of worked for me for a while. But I kind of had to change that, and I had to explore that, forcing myself to get writing. So now I basically have to sit myself down. I have certain moments, usually in the evenings or sometimes during the day, where I have certain moments that I have to put it in the diary, and I just sit myself down and I have to I force myself to write. And that's not a natural thing for me, because I've always waited for the inspiration. But the problem with that is that if you're waiting for the inspiration, you could be waiting a long time, and especially with lots going on at home with family and work and things you have to do, I find it's easier to set myself these moments where I basically force the inspiration. And at first it is hard to get that going, but once I've got it going, then I can roll, and I can kind of, it gets the engine turning. So let me know in the chat, if you're similar to that. Do you wait for the inspiration, or do you have specific moments where you write, where you've scheduled in, and that's when you're going to write? So for me, that kind of has been working. It has been working, which is really good. I start the songs, and then finishing them is another whole nother thing. But at least I've started it. And if you started something, then that's kind of a spark, which you can finish later on another time. I have many pieces of paper of started songs. I find it's just a matter of just sitting down and kind of just working through them to finish them a little bit, but yeah. So yeah, I used to write whenever I got inspired. Now it's much more structured. I sit myself down, force myself to write, and things come out. So basically there's two sides to my songwriting. There's the lyrics and the story, and there's the melody and the chords and the musical part, I guess. And yeah, so it's I have these kind of two parts, but they're not written completely separately. I can have the ideas to both separately, but then they come together at a certain point, basically. So what I'm trying to do now is, because I have everything structured, at the start of 1 week, I have 1 week where I come up with the idea. So that could be like the story. A lot of my songs are story based. It could be like the story or a feeling or a moment or something, an idea lyrically. So that's kind of the lyrics and the story. And then the other side is the melody and the chords and the kind of the musical side. And I basically say that's 1 week. If I have them together, then I just give myself a week to come up with them. And they could be multiple, it doesn't have to be just one. Usually it is, but sometimes I come up with multiple stories and melodies. And then the next week, once I have those two things, then it's a lot easier to then really get going with writing the verse, writing the chorus, writing the kind of the meat and bones of the song. So the first week is the blueprints, the kind of the outline of the song, and then the second week is the brick and mortar, if you will, of the song. And so at the moment I'm really trying to finish at least one song every 2 weeks, and that's actually really hard to do, because I as I said, I have a problem with finishing songs. It's just something I just need to get better at. I just need to get better at, because I find once that kind of initial spark has gone away, and like it's that, you get this real rush and this real energy of like, oh yeah, this is such a cool song, and you get this kind of, this adrenaline of this new song. Once that kind of passes, it's I find it hard to then go back to it and actually just see it through to the end. I kind of always want to just create another song, and I've got another idea for this thing, so I'm really bad at that. But yeah, so that's basically what I'm trying to do at the moment. But as I say, it's like it changes all the time. But this is just my current kind of setup at the moment with what I'm doing. Yeah, so I said the first objective is to get a main melody and chord structure, and then the storyline, and I just want to talk about a little bit about kind of sparking the inspiration, because the inspiration kind of for me has to come from somewhere, and it can come from even just a feeling of another song. I find just listening to music can be anything, not copying a song, but just it can be just something just within a song that sparks something where you can take that little thing and then take it to another place. So it can be like a feeling, just a general feeling of a song. I like this a lot. And or it can be like, it can be just a few words or something like this, I find this. So this really inspires me to write something, to gives me the spark of a new song. And it can come from a new instrument or tuning as well. I find this is really, really cool. If you get a new instrument or a new tuning, obviously we can't buy a new instrument every 2 weeks. That would be great, but can't do that. But a new tuning, that's can even spark something. And I find, when I'm messing around with tunings, I don't really use that many tunings, to be honest. I use mainly DADGAD. But I like to mess around with different tunings. I have a few other guitars that are in different tunings, and this can spark something. And it's not like I have to actually compose that song in that tuning. It can just spark an idea, and then I bring that kind of melody or whatever I came up with, the idea from that other guitar or tuning, and I bring it to this guitar and bring it to the tuning that I use a lot, DADGAD. So this can be really just to spark the inspiration, and it can come from a new sound as well. Come from a new sound, like a pedal, or even a new like a microphone or something. Some kind of sound that is that it can be a little different or something. This can be something really inspiring as well. I like to mess around with pedals, and I got this. I don't know if you can see. It's just an old like reel-to-reel tape recorder, but I do like some tape loops, and I mess around with like tape sounds, and you can switch it to like half speed, and it comes up with all kind of crazy ambient sounds. But things like that can just spark some kind of inspiration. Hey, Philip, he's from New Zealand. Ah, nice. Good to have you here. All right. Paul's here as well. All right. Cool. Yeah, so we're talking about songwriting, and I'm not saying my way is like the best way at all. I'm also interested in how you all write as well, and whether you let me know in the comments. If you're a write whenever you get inspiration kind of person, or if you're a sit down, I've got my writing time scheduled kind of songwriter, because I used to do it with whenever I get inspiration, but now I do it with I have to have everything scheduled and force the creativity out of me, and it does come. So I was talking about sparking inspiration, and yeah, or it can come from a story or moment that I've experienced personally, and this is this is something that comes up a lot. A lot of my songs are from personal experiences or stories from other people that I've met or other people that I know. So as I say, like a lot of my songs are story based, so they are stories in themselves. If you actually listen to the lyrics, they're stories. So I get a lot of inspiration from kind of real life stories or real life moments, no matter how mundane they may be. It doesn't have to be anything kind of epic or insane. It can be just like walking to get your milk in the morning, it can be anything. Philip says, I just have tunes in my head and waiting to get them out. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. That's great. I don't really have too many melodies in my head. I have ideas in my head, but then I have to find the melodies on the guitar a little bit. And just go to the chat quickly. Ian says, I've always found that work has got in the way, so now dedicated diary time to writing. Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, that's the way I do it. I have over 200 ideas on my phone voice recorder. And use those to dip into in order to finish one. Yeah, I do the same thing. That's a good tip as well, using your phone to record ideas. It's a really good one. Although my phone recorder is just, my problem is actually coming up with a decent name. I have like idea 1, idea 2, idea 3, or it's like something random, like, I don't know, tree or something. I don't know. It's just like, what is this about? So yeah, I have lots of these recordings as well, and I just have them just as a big list. I wish there was a way I could order them somehow. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's some app out there that is specifically for this. That would be cool. But yeah, that's a really good tip. If anyone has ideas and stuff like this, and just recording them, on your phone. I actually used to do it on a little dictaphone. Back in the day, when I was like, I think I must have been like 16 or something. Smartphones weren't out, and I was just kind of doing little voice ideas for songs on a dictaphone. Same kind of thing, same kind of thing. But now I actually have a notepad as well. I like to write ideas down. And that's obviously mainly for the story and for the lyrical side of ideas. So we talked about sparking the inspiration. So then I first kind of I like to first pick a key and a fingering. So I'll just kind of turn this mic on. So when I say fingering, this is kind of A minor fingering. So if I have a capo on, I use fingering quite a lot when I'm in dadgad or standard tuning, really. I kind of like how different keys. When I say fingering, I'm talking about different keys. And keys within my head. So like, obviously, if I'm capoed on the 2nd fret, I'm not in A minor here, but in my brain, I am in A minor, if that makes sense. Hope it does. So that's what I mean by fingering. So my key really is it's B minor. but in my head I'm in A minor, just because I'm capoed on the 2nd fret. But yeah, I find like with a fingering, like, or a key, however you want to say it, it has certain certain notes are available to me, and so that means in different keys. So it definitely has certain keys have a different sound to other keys, and obviously major and minor definitely have a different sound, but also the minor keys, you know, like for example A minor, which a lot of my songs are in A minor, definitely has a different feeling and sound to like G minor. Yeah, so, and stuff like this. So that's what I mean by fingering. So I usually pick first a key and or a fingering, and for this one, just an example, I'm gonna pick A minor, and we're talking about one of my songs, and this is how I came up with it. And then I play around and I get a nice kind of, try and find a feeling that I like. And this usually starts with the outline of the song, kind of the blueprints, if you will, of a song. And this one started on the A minor, and I usually think about just a very simple kind of bass line of the song. And I'm just, it's a little bit like exploring and digging for treasure, you know. I'm just kind of just going around and yeah, exploring for different sounds and feelings that I like. And this is what I came up with on this song. And one of the questions was how much theory versus feel do I put in? And I think when I'm doing this digging around for the treasure, I'm exploring for the feeling, it's definitely more feeling than theory. So I don't think about, oh, I'm on the root now, so I'm going to go to the 5th. You know, I don't think about that. I just, oh, that's nice. You know, I like that. And then I might think about it later. Okay, that's the E, so that's the 5th. I don't really think about that too much. And that's the 6th chord in the key of A minor, and then the 4th. But I'm not really thinking about that, you know, when I'm composing. I'm just looking for a feeling. But I do think in terms of the theory, I do feel like subconsciously I know all this, so maybe my fingers are just kind of going there because subconsciously I know that that's a chord that's in this key, you know. I find a lot of theory is like this. You almost learn it to then forget about it in a practical way. You know, you don't always want to be thinking theoretically when you're composing or when you're playing or when you're improvising. You know, it's got to be in there, but it's kind of in the back of your head. You know, so I hope that answers that question that we had from earlier. But yeah, so it's I get that feeling. So that's a lot of my songs. Just very simple 4 chords, you know. And I usually start with the main part of a song. It could be a chorus, but not always. Sometimes that could be just a melody. And for this song, it was this sort of first melody, basically. And I had these 4 chords, and I came up with this little melody that goes. Just very simple, and that was my melody. Yeah. And then I basically just sung over the top, and a lot of the time, my singing is is at the same note as the melody that the guitar is playing. But this time I actually chose to do it slightly different, that I'm actually singing different notes that the melody's playing, but it's like almost harmonizing with the melody. And you'll see what I mean. I'll just kind of I'll sing the first little bit, and you'll see what I mean. Here we go. 1 spoon of dough, 1 cup of flour, half a glass of water, then leave for an hour. So I'm basically singing up here, these 2 notes. So this is the note that I'm playing, and I'm singing over the top, and I do it with a few other notes there as well. And it's just something that I wanted to explore at the time. But usually I sing along with the melody. And that's, I think, to do with that I get a lot of inspiration from blues players that do that, and folk players that do that a lot as well. So I think it's that reason I kind of like to do that. So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. We got a question from Philip. Do you write every note down or an outline of chords so that when you come back to a song years later, you instinctively go back to picking every note? Yeah, good question. I very rarely write down the music. It's funny. I like to record it, and I like to work on it until I've finished it. I very rarely come back to things years later. So my typical things I do is I usually kind of write songs over the various course of weeks, months, years, and then I have eventually at some point a collection of songs which I'll then record and release. I very rarely have lots of songs tucked away for years on end and that I come back to. But yeah, I usually just record them. I very rarely write things down in terms of music. I don't know, maybe that's really bad, but musically, things just stay in my head. I'm quite good at remembering just how things go. And like I say, I record them anyway, just little bits. But I have to write down the words, because I just have so many words to my songs, and I forget them all the time as well. I have to keep on, remembering my words. Some of you may have noticed that sometimes I forget my words, but melodies I don't really come back to. So I get that feeling. So a lot of it is to do with the feeling, I find, like I wanted this feeling for this song. And I think I chose to have this this kind of this picking style on the right hand. I could have made it kind of a bit like that, which it kind of just completely changes the feeling of it, So I really like getting that feeling of a song straight away, and if the feeling is really speaking to me, then I'll go with it. I'll continue. So maybe that's a question to ask people. Do you go with a feeling of a song, or are you more? Let's ask that question. How many of you enjoy look for a good feeling of a song, or how many of you look for a good melody? And what comes first, feeling first or melody? That'll be interesting to find out. Just let me know in the comments below. Also, if you're watching this on the replay as well. But definitely for me, feeling comes first. That's kind of the outline of the song. And then the melody is more like getting into the detail of things, If we're going on the building a house metaphor, then the melody might be like, I don't know, the kind of putting exactly where all the doors and all the little nooks and crannies are going to go, whereas the feeling is just like, I kind of want something a little bit like this, kind of a sketch. Don't know if that works, that analogy, but we'll go with it. So I came up with this. So this is like, and first I didn't have, I had an idea in terms of the lyrics. I had an idea of the lyrics, and that came to me, actually, it's an interesting story. It came to me from here in Berlin. We have all of our playgrounds have sand in, which is not common for in the UK where I'm from, but in Berlin there's sand just everywhere. It's just like a playground is just like one giant sand pit, so of course everyone gets sand everywhere, in your shoes and in your socks and in your trousers. So when you come home, you try and get rid of all of it, but a lot of it comes in, especially with the kids. And then so we end up a lot of the time in the summer when we're going to the playgrounds a lot, we get sand in our bed. sometimes, which is horrible. It's the nastiest feeling. It's horrible, and it's really annoying, but it's just how it is sometimes. And that gave me the idea of could I do something with this sand in the bed? And I was like, what if it's not sand? What if it's like flour? I don't know why I thought of that. Maybe also because we actually live in an old bakery. This could be something to do with it. Subconsciously, I thought of like flour and a baker. Our flat here used to be a bakery back in the day. So I thought maybe it's a baker that's just obsessed. Some people get really obsessed with their sourdough and their baking, and this baker was obsessed with his sourdough. So this is the kind of the thing that he has flour in his bed because he's just constantly baking. And that's kind of sparked the idea. And but to just go back a little bit, a lot of the time I don't have lyrics. So lyrics are also another little detail that I don't really have when I'm just coming up with the idea and the feeling. So what I usually do is something like dum ba dun dun da 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 din da 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 da. Do something like that. So I would just kind of hum and kind of mumble some kind of thing, just to get the feeling and just to get that idea. It's just to see if it works. That's something that I do quite a lot, almost every time. I find it really helps me to get that feeling of the song and whether it will work or not. So yeah, and then I have my subject. So then I start kind of writing the actual words to the song, and that usually comes after I have the melody, because I need to know how many syllables to put in and what works and what doesn't. So I'd need to know da 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 da. So everything that I would write would go towards those, fitting into that melody, so those syllables. So so that would kind of be the next part of the song. So we covered that. So here we go. So I start writing words. So here's on this part, the first melody, the first line goes, 1 spoon of dough, 1 cup of flour, half a glass of water, then leave for an hour. And to make a perfect sourdough, it takes the dedication that one man knows. So this is basically that melody. One other thing that I want to talk about is almost always on all of my songs I have moments where I like to improvise. So that's why I usually go for something that's not too complicated, but that I can also just simplify into some bass notes. So I can improvise over the top, and yeah, that's something that is quite important to me, that I can do that. Let's just go to the chats right now. So Ian says, the melody usually comes first, very much inspired by the instrument and tuning. I write a lot on here's my dyslexia coming in. Moldolin. Tuning G. Is that an instrument? I gotta see how you spell that. You probably spelt it right. I'm just being really stupid. Tuning's G D A D. Okay. All right. I gotta find out what this is now. Sorry, everyone. Just stopping. Cello mandolin. Did you mean to say? Cello mandolin, yeah. Oh, it's written as one word. Mandocello. Is it mandocello? Is that right? Like a bouzouki. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so it says a cello, mandocello is a plucked string instrument of the mandolin family. Yeah. So it's like a big mandolin, huh? Cool. So it says it 4 strings, or is it more strings? Because you said tuning G D A D. Yeah, that looks really cool. I wonder if I can show everyone. Let's go on. I'll just do like a screen share just to show. So this is kind of basically what's coming up on my, when I put it in. Yeah, so it's doubled up, huh? Yeah, okay. Is that right? So it's doubled up strings. So you have like 8 strings in 4 courses. Yeah. Okay, so you 2 Gs, 2 Ds, 2 As, and 2 Ds. Yeah, nice. That looks really nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, and you say that you, yeah, the melody comes first and very much inspired by the instrument and the tuning. Yeah, that's definitely is something really interesting. How an instrument can really inspire. That's kind of why I like to have lots of different instruments, because you know they can really inspire different things. Yeah, cool. So back to this. So it's last point we had was improvising, and that's something, you know, that I really like to do. And on this one particularly, so we have the verse, how I came up with the verse, which was the main part of the song, and then the chorus. This is when I mention flower bed, and it's interesting, you know, I don't, like I said earlier, I don't really have a theoretical brain when I'm writing. I more just go on feeling. But I think subconsciously there's something behind in my brain somewhere kind of telling me to pick certain chords, maybe, even though I'm not conscious of when I'm doing it. So I a lot of the time I like to, especially if I'm starting the song in the root chord, I like to pick a different chord to start the next kind of bit, whether that's a chorus or kind of the next part of the song or whatever. And this is the one that I do as well. So I picked the third chord of the key. So I'm going to the third, the fifth, and the sixth. And then I go to the first, the sixth, fifth, fourth, seventh, first. And that's something when I was writing it, I wasn't conscious about those numbers and the way I picked them. I was just going on instinct, and that's the way I just do it. But like I say, you know, there's something probably in the back of my head that's telling me to go this way. You know, and it doesn't matter what tuning I'm in. I think my ears kind of can hear what chord of the key I'm playing, and then it's like, oh yeah, that's the one. We like that. Go for that one, you know. So that's interesting, you know. So yeah, so this chorus, this is where I mentioned the flower bed. I'll just sing it, and I'll sing it for you. And I think like the chorus is for me, is for where I like to mention is kind of, I don't want to say it's like the main part of the song. A lot of the time it is. It doesn't have to be, but it's I like to use it as a way of having the title in the song, or you know, it's kind of like it's all about that. This is what this song is about, kind of thing. A lot of the time, it doesn't have to be. Some of my songs don't have choruses at all, you know, so it's it doesn't have to. But you know, but this one does. This one does. So it's yeah, I'll sing it and then basically just mention the flower bed. So it's I go, there's flower in my bed, the baker's wife, she said, and I'll go elsewhere instead. Oh, there's flower in my bed. So it really, I find it really leads up to the, especially with it going to the fourth, then the seventh, and then really leads to that root chord again. So yeah, that's a lot. Basically, kind of how I write my songs. I'll see if there's anything else that I should mention on that. But yeah, I mentioned like I'd like to change the first chord. Sets me up for improvisation, which I really like to do. Yeah, so from there it's just filling out the blanks. So basically, with this, we've been through. I came up with my idea. I got the feeling, which is the first kind of spark of it, and then the main melody. And then singing over the top, whether that's usually it's the same as that melody that I'm playing on guitar, but in this case not exactly the same. and then coming up with the various parts of the song. So usually I have just a verse and a chorus, but I sometimes have like a bridge, or some kind of part that is sort of leading from the verse to the chorus, which this kind of does as well, which you'll hear. But from there, it's just filling out the blanks, basically. It's just, I usually have, if I have the story written out, I usually have it written out as kind of like bullet points of what happens in this story. And then it's just filling up those verses and continuing the story, just basically like writing a story. And I find this, if we're going back to that building a house analogy, this is just like the bricks, it's just, okay, now we just got to fill them in, and the bricks and the cement and everything. So that's, and then I'm basically done. So as long as I have like a verse and a chorus, and some kind of, I really like to have some kind of main melody in there, not necessarily a chorus, but some kind of melody that I really like that gets it going, and a part, always a bit where I can improvise at some stage. And then that's basically my song. We'll just go to the chats here to see what's going on. What does that say? Guitar. Sorry, Fabian, I need to go. No worries. All good. You go. But look forward to watching this recording when I get back. The session is great. Thank you. Thanks, Philip. No worries. If you need to get off, absolutely. This has gone a bit longer than I thought it would go on. I don't really have... didn't think I would blabber on this much, but it's been really interesting, definitely, listening to your comments and everything, or reading your comments rather. And Ian says there's an excellent short book by Jeff Tweedy of the band Wilco called How to Write One Song. Okay. I would highly recommend it to all songwriters to help with inspiration. Yeah, cool. How to write one song. I'm gonna write that down because that looks really interesting. It's in terms of books, I don't really have too many books that I have read on songwriting, so I would definitely be interested in reading some of these. So if anyone, I'll actually mention that. So if anyone has any other recommendations for books or anything like that, either in the live chat right now or on the replay, then let everyone know, because I think there's a lot of songwriters here and on this channel as well that would definitely could definitely use that. But yeah, as I say, it's everyone's very different when it comes to songwriting. But let me just do a little bit of this song before we go. I won't do the whole song because there's a lot of verses, and I'll probably mess some of them up anyway. So I'll just do a few of the verses and give you kind of a feeling of this song, because I've talked about it a lot. So this is Flower Bed.
One spoon of dough, 1 cup of flour, half a glass of water, then leave for an hour. And to make a perfect sourdough. It takes the dedication that one man knows. Baking's his art, and he's a master of his craft. There's flour in my bed, and I'm baking all this bread, but I don't mind, he said. All this flour in my bed. This baker had a loyal wife who stood beside him throughout most of his life. But the sourdough took up his time, baking every day. His obsession made him blind. He couldn't see her anymore, but he still loved her to the core. There's flour in my bed. The baker's wife, she said, and I'll go elsewhere instead. Oh, this flour in my bed. So that was Flower Bed from my last album. So yeah, that was just to give you a kind of a taste of that song. But obviously, you can listen to the actual recording on the album. It's on my YouTube channel. It's also on Spotify and everywhere. You can stream on your own where you like to stream songs. But yeah, so we were talking about songwriting, and I basically just discussed my my songwriting method. But yeah, so basically, as we land the plane, this is it's a really interesting topic, and I find everyone does it slightly differently. But we definitely had some really good ideas, and definitely that book I'm going to check out that Ian recommended. As I say, if anybody has, on the replay as well, if anybody has any tips or recommendations or anything like that for anyone, and let me know, what's your kind of method for songwriting? Is it do you record little notes on your phone, or what do you do? Let me know any quirky little things do you come up with. But yeah, so that's all we have for today's show. Thank you so much to everyone that joined in the live stream. And I hope everyone has a wonderful Saturday, wherever you are in the world. And like I said, we'll catch you next Saturday. Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Philip. Thanks everyone for and Paul as well. Everyone who caught the live stream. But I hope you got some value out of this. Let me know in the comments below if you're watching on the replay, if you enjoyed this one, or if you want any further live streams, please let me know, or any topics or any questions that you have, because I'm just coming up with ideas, myself, ideas that I want to be doing, but it's really important to me that I'm building this community, and for you, that I'm doing topics that you guys enjoy as well. So if you have something that you'd really like me to cover, then please let me know. You can also do it like this one was done by Dean, who asked this question just on YouTube. So I covered it, but there's actually an official one if you're part of my email subscribers on my website, fabianholland.com. It's a little community there that we have, and I send out like vlogs and exclusive sort of videos each month to my little community on my website. But if you haven't checked it out, then please do check it out. It's fabianholland.com. I really enjoy it there because I'm not subject to the YouTube algorithm. It's my own little YouTube in a way. And you can actually have, once you join the community, then you can actually submit on my website. Here it is, and you can submit here. Just if you can send me a message if you have any ideas or any questions or anything like that you want me to cover in the live streams. Because it's all good, and it's all really interesting and really cool to cover this sort of stuff and to chat with you all on Saturday. Thanks so much everyone for joining, and I will see you in the next live stream. Bye.